Welcome. In this tutorial session, I will cover the basics of using Stata in this class. As you can see, I have opened Stata. There are several windows. At the bottom, it is the command window. This is the window that we'll use to interact with Stata. We will type in command, let Stata analyze the data. On the top, it is the results window. The results window, it will show all the results and outputs of the command that we type in. On the left, it's the review window. The review window, it will keep a record of all the commands we run. On the right, it is the variable window and the property window. These two windows, they will present some information about the data, the variables, and in a moment, we will see these two windows with more details. At first, let me load a data into Stata. To load the data, and we go to the upper left corner, click Open. I have already downloaded the two datasets from Blackboard. One of them is called PCs Unlimited. I saved them on desktop, and you can save them at whichever folder you like. So I will find the PCs Unlimited dataset, double click. Here, the data has been loaded into the Stata memory. On the right, in the variable window, we can see there are 7 variables. Each one of them has a different name. And if I click on one of them to highlight it, and as we can see here in the property, it says the name of the variable is a response. It's a float, which means it's a numerical variable or metric variable. At the bottom, it's the name of the dataset, the number of variables, and the number of observations. The basics for Stata syntax is very simple. The Stata syntax is always in the format of command plus some subject that this command will affect. For example, suppose I want to see some summary statistics regarding this variable, total dollars spent. Here in the command window, I will type in summarize. So summarize is a command to generate the summary statistics, and the subject in this case is total down, and it's the command will affect this variable. So I type in total down, the name of the subject, hit enter. Here we can see there are summary statistics presented in the results window, including the observations, mean, standard deviation, mean, and max. Now suppose I want to see more detailed information about this variable. And in this case, I need to modify this default output of this command summarize. To do that, I will type in summarize, total down, and comma, and I want to see more details. In this case, I type in detail. Hit enter. As you can see here, we got more detailed summary statistics regarding total down. And the detail here is called the option for summarize. So a lot of command in Stata, they have options. So as a reminder, if it is a option for a command, it has to come after the comma. And if you forget about the comma, and the command won't run. Now let's take a look at the dataset. And to see the dataset, we need to bring up the browse window. To bring up the browse window, we simply type in browse in the command window, hit enter. So there will be a Excel style window pop up, and we can see each column is a variable and each row is an observation. Here we can see all of them, and they were presented here. Now let me close this browse window for a moment. So the way to interact with Stata, and the most straightforward way, is to use this command window to type in the command. One problem is that there are hundreds of different commands in Stata. Sometimes it's difficult to remember all of them. And as an alternative, we can always use the menu up in the upper left corner. So using data, graphic, or statistics, using the pull down menu to call all those commands. One of the problem is because there are so many commands, even the pull down menus sometimes it seems very confusing. To solve this problem, we wrote a customized menu for Kellogg students. And so we need to first install that customized user menu. To install the menu, and in the command window, we type in run http Kellogg northwestern.edu stata menu.do. Hit enter. Here there is a pop-up window. We will check both options and then click OK. And there will be a pop-up window tell you that it has been successfully installed. Click OK. So at this point, if we go to this user menu on the upper left corner, click it, we can see here, down here, there is this marketing menu. It basically contains all the command that we will use to save a data. And as you can see here, when we install the menu, the data has been wiped out from the memory, so we need to reload it. Okay, and remember, in the as I mentioned earlier, in the review window, and it'll keep a record of all the commands that we have already run. And the very first command that we run in this session is loading the data. And to rerun that command, we don't need to type in the whole thing again. We just click on it. And so as you can see here, that particular command appears in the command window. So I just hit enter. Now we have just reload that dataset. And so to save this dataset in your in another folder, or if you want to save it in an Excel sheet, and so we can use the user menu to achieve that goal. As a advice, always keep an extra copy of the original dataset. Never overwrite it. So if we want to save this dataset as a Excel sheet, we go to the user menu. Here we see there is a item, it's called a save data. And so we have three options. We can save it as a Stata dataset, Excel sheet, or text file. So if we click one of them, let's say we want to save it as an Excel sheet, there is a pop-up window come up, okay, and it will ask us which variable do we want to save. If we leave it empty, all the variables will be saved, and where to save it, and we can just browse to the folder that I want to save this file, and enter the name. Let's say I want to save it on the desktop. For the moment, I just type in Stata Demo, click save. And so here, and I can check a few items. Save variable names to the first row in Excel file. Check it, yes, because I want to keep the Excel sheet. I want to keep the variable name, and here it's also output numerical value, not label, of the labeled variables. I will explain this in a moment. I will also check this one, okay, and then click OK. Now if we go to the desktop, we can see here we have this Stata Demo Excel file saved on the desktop. I double click it, we can have it open. You can see here that we have already saved this file. Okay, so what is a labeled variable? Remember, when we try to save this data file as a Excel file, it asks whether we should save the labeled variable as numerical rather than the label value. What does that mean? If we go to Stata and let's bring up the browse window here. Okay, so all these variables that are in blue, they are called labeled variable. And so even though here we see they are in text, here it's a yes and no, here it's male and female, here is the different region. But if we click on a particular text, say for example no, we can see there is a value, it's called 0. If we click on yes, there's a value, it says 1. The same case for gender, male is 1, female is 0. Okay, the same case for region. So when we save the Excel sheet, it basically says whether we should save it as yes and no, or we should save it as 1 or 0. Now let's do some data analysis. Suppose I want to generate to get some summary statistics regarding two variables, total down and the num purchase, which are the total dollar spent and the total number purchased. So I will simply type in summarize total down and space num purchase detail. Here I got the summary statistics about these two variables. On the other hand, I can always do this using the user menu. To do that, I go to user, go to marketing menu, summarize and describe data, and the simple summary statistics, click on it. So the variable that I'm interested in is total down. I can either type it in or I can use this pull down menu to pick them. Okay, for example, in this case I'm interested in number purchase. Okay, and instead of standard display, I want to display additional statistics. Okay, and click OK. Here we can see the same output, just like what we did earlier by using the command window directly. Now suppose I want to know the distribution of my customers across the 6 different regions. The way that we will do this is in the command window, use the command tabulate and the region variable. Region, hit enter. Here we can see the across these 6 different regions, the number of customers is ordered alphabetically, and the rows are ordered alphabetically, and I see the frequency, percentage, and the cumulative percentages. Okay, and I can also do this using the user menu. I go to user menu, go to marketing menu, and then summarize and describe data, tabulate, and the categorical variable in this case is region. And instead of order the row by alphabetically, I want to see them being ordered in a descending order frequency. And so in this case, I check this option. Hit OK. Here we can see that now the rows, this table is sorted in the order of decreasing frequency. And this is the corresponding option, which is basically sort after the comma. Next, I want to generate a cross-tabulate of 2 non-metric variables, gender and respond. So to do so, I can go to user menu, go to marketing menu, summarize and describe data, cross-tabulate. So in the row variable here, I use gender, and in the column variable, I use respond. In addition, I also want Stata report within row relative frequency. So I will check this option. Click OK. Here we can see, and within each row we not only have the number of no's and the number of years, as well as the corresponding percentages. To get the summary statistics, besides using summarize, I can also use another command. It's called tabstat. To get the tabstat command, we can use the user menu, and we go to user, marketing menu, summarize and describe data, and this involves complex summary statistics. So it's this option. We click it, and here's a variable that I'm interested in are total DAO, as well as number of purchase. So the variable, the statistics that I'm interested in, including mean, count, and say standard deviation, median, and I also want to group these statistics by their regions. So within each region, what are these summary statistics? So here I type in region and click OK. Here we can see we have a table generated in the output, in the results screen, and so within each region, what are the mean number of observations, standard deviation, and the median. Sometimes you want to use graphs to illustrate your data. To do that, we can use the user menu again. For example, if we want to generate a scatter plot between age and total dollars spent, we go to user and marketing menu, graph data, draw scatter plot. So we will create a plot that it will be scatter plot, a basic plot. On the y variable, the y-axis, I want it to be total DAO, and on the x it will be age, and then submit. As you can see here in this window, and we have this scatter plot and show the relationship between age and total dollar. And here I can close down this two windows. To save this graph, to save this figure, and we simply click on this save graph icon, and you can pick the folder to save the graph. And one piece of advice, and always save the type of the graph either in the format of PDF or in the format of portable network graphics, PNG, because these are two formats that are platform independent. It does not depend on the operating system. You can easily share it with others. So now let's say I want to save them as a PDF. So I save it as Scatter Demo. Hit enter. Okay. So now we can take a look on the desktop. This is the scatter plot that we just saved. We can also create bar charts. To create a bar graph, let's go to user and go to marketing menu, graph data, draw bar graph. The variable that I'm interested in is region, and I want to see the average. The variable that I'm interested in is total DAO, and I want to see the average spending of customers. In particular, I'm interested in to see the average spending across different regions. So I will choose the categories, and the group 1 here I type in region, and click OK. Here we can see here across the different regions, and these are their average spendings. Okay, so now let's close down this window. And I can also create a histogram and go to user and go to graph data, draw histogram. And the variable that I'm interested in is total DAO. And in particular, I want to see the total dollar spending histogram, and they are separated by gender. Okay, depending on which gender and we're talking about, and depending on men or women. So in this case, I go to by and draw subgraph for unique values variable. In this case, the unique values of variable, and it will be the categorical variable gender. Click OK. And so as you can see here, we can bring it up a little bit. And so here is total dollar spent, and draw two histogram and based on the gender. Let's close it down. We can also manipulate variables within Stata. For example, I want to calculate a new variable called average spending per order. So that is total DAO divided by the number of purchases for each individual. So in this case, in the command window, I simply type in generate, okay, average purchase, and equals to total DAO divided by non-purchase. Hit enter. Here, as you can see on the right in the variable window, and we got a new variable. It's called av purchase, and so it is basically the result of this generate command. So now if we want to replace this average purchase by its logarithm, okay, and to do that, we will use the command called replace. Purchase equals to log average purchase. Hit enter. So it tells me there are 1,000 changes has been made in this dataset. Now this variable average purchase has become the logarithm of the previous result. To discard a variable from the dataset, all we need to do is type drop the new variable that we just created, average purchase. So now you can see here that new variable that we just created has been dropped out of from this dataset. Now suppose I'm interested in the total dollar spending of my customers, but I'm only interested in those customers who are older than 40 years old. So in this case, I can type in summarize total DAO, and if age, the age variable is greater than 40, and hit enter. So in this case, and I can see there are 262 customers who are older than 40 years old. The mean spending among this group of customers is 500, so on and so forth. If I want to run some analysis by using correlation or regression, I simply in the command window type in pairwise correlation. Here I'm interested in the total DAO correlation with number of purchase, and I want to see the significance level of the correlation, and hit enter. Here we can see that this total DAO and the number of purchases are highly correlated, and with a significant level p-value less than 5%. And to run a regression, and so I simply type in regress, and I want to use the dependent variable respond as a dependent variable, and I want to know whether total down and the number of purchase of the customers in the past will affect whether this customer will respond to this campaign. So in this case, I hit enter. Here is the regression result. And as we talked about earlier, both commands can be implemented by using the user menu up here. So in particular, here we have the simple test of association, and we have the correlation between two variables, as well as the regular regression, run the regression. In the coming weeks, we will cover more details about Stata. As always, if you run into any problems regarding Stata, and please feel free to let me know.